Occupy Wall Street's demonstrations against corporate greed and social inequity are happening in cities across the U.S. and around the world, from Sydney to London. And Greg Burke is standing by in Rome, where tens of thousands of protesters have taken to the streets, with some demonstrators actually becoming quite violent. Greg, what's the latest there?
Well, Uma, really quite violent. You know, there's still a lot of tourists in Rome, and you think if you were a tourist today, you'd probably want some sort of protection, maybe a gas mask, maybe a helmet, because there are bottles flying everywhere. It is really a mess. It was supposed to be the Italian version of Occupy Wall Street, but it certainly got a lot more violent than that, and pretty quickly, as protesters burned cars, attacked banks and cash machines. They also burned a number of trash bins, throwing rocks at police, big rocks, these actual cobblestones, and many of them armed with sticks, their faces covered, some of them wearing helmets as well. Those are normally just signs. If you're covering your face, you're wearing a helmet, that you're looking for trouble, and they certainly have found it. The police answering that with lots of tear gas and some water cannons as well, as they try to put this to rest, but it's still going on. Now, across Europe today, there are these demonstrations. Greece has been at the center of this, at times violent. Greece, long before the Occupy Wall Street protests started, there were violent protests in Greece as demonstrators went after the government cuts. They're trying to make some deep, drastic cuts there. And also in other countries in Europe, Belgium, Germany, London, some rough scuffles there. It is a global movement as of today, but certainly Europe at the heart of it. But also in Asia, Japan, the Philippines, Taiwan, all the anger coming out there as well. It's hard to put one label on it exactly, but I guess it really boils down to common people feeling that they've been betrayed by the big banks, the big corporations, and their own governments. And finally, Uma, I'll tell you about the situation here in Italy. It's a shame because probably close to 100,000 people out there protesting today, 95%, maybe 98% of them planning for a peaceful protest. But there are several hundred, maybe as many as 1,000 really hardcore violent people, and they're not demonstrating peacefully. They're just out looking for trouble, and they found it. Uma?
Well, Greg, have they given people an idea of specifically what they want to see changed or how they plan to move forward in an effective way from their perspective?
Well, they haven't so far, and it's a really wide range of people from very peaceful demonstrations. There's a theater sit-in at one place where they're demonstrating against cuts to culture in Italy, for example. And then you have some sort of middle-of-the-road people saying, well, you know, it's the pensions being cut. They have specific complaints, all of them, young people saying there are no jobs for us. And then you have just a really wild, violent sort of what they call the social centers in Italy, which come to these things looking for trouble, looking basically to go at it with police. So it's a very, very wide range, but it's the violent ones who have won the day, unfortunately. And there were actually some violence between the peaceful people and those people trying to get them to stop, but there are too many of the violent ones out there today.